Guess we'll get started. Welcome to PHS Live. We're really excited to have everyone today to take a look back at 2021 and look ahead to 2022. My name is Kristin Gatos, and I'm the Director of Communications here at PHS. And today I am joined by Lucy Duxon Bramble, who is the Director of Development at PHS, and our Executive Director, Nancy J. Taylor. Just a few things before we get started. We are recording this session, so it will be available on our website, probably early next week. We are also streaming live on Facebook. We ask that you put any of your questions into the Q&A bar, which is at the bottom of your screen. And we'll have some time at the end of the session to answer any questions you might have. So I am going to get started by asking Nancy and Lucy how they think the year went, and how they think the staff at PHS is continuing to meet the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thanks, Kristin. I'm really happy to report that most of the staff is working, if not full-time in the office now, almost full-time. It really depends on the nature of people's work. So we have a hybrid possibility. So some of the staff can work some days from home and some days in the office. So we've been able to do that safely, primarily because we still wear masks inside, except if we're in our personal office space. We are cognizant of social distancing, and we do a lot of our meetings still on Zoom, especially any large group meetings. Before it got cold, we were having some gatherings outside without masks, and it was nice to be able to gather again as a staff, even if just outside to socialize and really talk to each other in person about how things are going. We have been able now for over a year to offer research appointments. So it's no longer just the staff in the building. We have researchers now can come in 3 of the 5 weekdays, and we are continuing the appointment system just so that we can limit the amount of people in the building at one time. And we do space the researchers out in our reading room. We have a very brief COVID health questionnaire that people fill out, and if someone ends up testing positive, they let us know and we would contact trace, but that actually has not happened. So I feel incredibly lucky that we've not had any severe impacts in terms of actual cases of COVID. But we know that it's possible, and we're continuing to really assess risks. That all said, I think that we're here at the end of 2021, and probably a year ago, we were hoping we would be talking about the end of the pandemic, right? And it's very obvious there's probably not going to be kind of an end in the way we envisioned it last year. And we are still, there's just a lot of creativity among the staff about virtual ways of communicating with people, sharing information about our collections and history, and then also connecting with donors. So I want to make sure, Kristin and Lucy, you have a chance to talk about some of that. We'll talk later about our hopes for 2022, but I do not think we're ever going to leave a much more kind of hybrid virtual world than we had before the pandemic. And it's really opened up our collections and the history we have in ways faster, and then both in new and exciting ways that we just didn't anticipate. And that's just been a great thing for us to do, and we're going to continue to do that no matter what.
Thank you, Nancy. You mentioned some of the creative ways that people are in the building are sharing about the history of Presbyterianism in the USA and around the world. And one way we continue to do that is through PHS Live. this was something that was started, last year during the pandemic as a way to connect with people while they were stuck at home and maybe needed a way to connect with others. But we see value in this type of webinar format going forward. And so we will continue to host PHS Live sessions monthly and use them as an opportunity to share about some of the stuff that's happening in PHS, and also connect with people around the country.
One of the things I was going to just add to both of your comments is that because of our creative staff and just the amazing ways they have exposed and made our collections and archives available in virtual ways, I know that we have begun to see probably an increase in people donating to PHS for the first time. And so I'm always amazed, as somebody fairly new on staff, that's a little over 3 months, just how available staff make everything to prospective researchers to researchers. And so I'm just really thrilled. I'm just so glad to be a part of a group of people who are so creative, and I don't work in the office often, and I can tell you whenever I need anything, I just find it so collaborative, so easy to work with. And so I am just thrilled to be a part of this wonderful team that's really doing so much for our denomination.
Thank you, Lucy. Our next question is about some of the exciting things that happened at PHS in 2021. So I'm going to ask everyone kind of what are some of the exciting initiatives that happened in 2021, and what do you look forward to in 2022? And I'm just going to jump in and answer that. One of the most exciting things that happened in 2021 was the culmination of our collaboration with the Community College of Philadelphia. We have had a partnership with the Community College of Philadelphia for a few years. Classes before the pandemic were visiting the PHS archives and using historic resources, primary source materials to work on research projects. So, every semester we would have 3 or 4 classes visit, and then return to the archives throughout the semester researching in our collections. And then through 2019 and 2020, a group of student panelists actually assembled an exhibit using their research at PHS. So this is an exhibit that is really student driven and focuses on work that they were inspired by and drawn to. And you could see that throughout the PHS building, especially in the front yard, which is a spot that we continue to leave open for visitors, even though we have limited hours right now and some restrictions about visiting the building due to the pandemic. But this is also an exhibit that lives online at the BKBB website. So I'll link that in chat, but it's been really, it's been an amazing project, and it's been really kind of inspirational seeing what students have done with maybe sometimes pretty dry archival records and turning it into something pretty special. So I invite you all to kind of take a look online at that exhibit if you have a chance.
There's a couple things I'd like to highlight for some exciting initiatives that happened in 21. One was 2 special issues of the Journal of Presbyterian History. And we actually started on these before the pandemic because we put out a call for papers that would look at the dynamics of indigenization in foreign mission fields. And we were really lucky to have 3 guest editors who helped us craft that call for papers. And we were planning at that point 1 special issue, but we had such an amazing response that we ended up devoting both issues of the Journal of Presbyterian History in 2021 to publish 6 articles. They're all by academics, but some of them are kind of earlier in their career, and we were able to feature some of their latest research. And then a couple of the folks who wrote articles for us are more senior professors, and all of them are looking at different areas of the world and using different mission sources to think about what aspects of Christianity are kind of adopted by the folks who are native in these various places, and how that is very much a complicated process. It's not that the missionaries come in and they are able to convert a lot of people, and it's kind of taken whole hog to shape the way people practice religion and influence culture. And it's just been an amazing experience to see the foci on the different areas of the country. The first issue came out in spring, summer, so 1st of June. And the second special issue, we've seen the electronic version, so it is out. The print copies have mailed, and I'm hopeful that they'll hit folks' mailboxes in a timely fashion this time. But for anyone who's a donor, we sent just today an electronic version of that second issue. And on the cover are 2 paintings that were done by a missionary who was in Hawaii in the 1830s. And the whole first article in that issue kind of considers these paintings. They're of the first 2 converts to Christianity in Hawaii. They were very prominent Hawaiian leaders, and there's a lot of evidence that they had facial tattoos and tattoos on their bodies, but the missionary painted them without those tattoos. And so it's just a really interesting, you take these 2 paintings, you wrap history around it. And I learned a lot from just editing this. So that's just one example. And Jim Moorhead and I were the senior co-editors of the journal, and we're just excited to offer such a diverse kind of look at Presbyterian Reformed history worldwide. Just briefly, I want to say a couple of other highlights. We do have an initiative, the African American Leaders and Congregations Collecting Initiative, and we were able to do some really good digitization this year, including Katie Geneva Cannon archives, where we're working with Union Presbyterian Seminary in Richmond and Union Theological Seminary in New York to digitize and bring together the holdings of Katie Cannon's papers at all 3 institutions and make them accessible digitally through our digital archives Pearl. So that started in 21. It's not finished yet, but we're about 2/3 finished, and people are already able to access those records through Pearl. So that was a great thing that we did this year. And Kristin, I'll turn it over to you first for some other highlights. Oh no, sorry, you already did that. Lucy, do you have things you want to add?
I think what I want to really add is that I unfortunately wasn't a part of the creation of the exhibits and the collections, but I can talk about them. And that's one of the things I've been doing since I started. I'm very involved in the Presbytery of Long Island. That's where I live, and I'm involved with the Synod of the Northeast. And anyone who will listen to me will hear how I've just been absolutely impressed and amazed at the depth and the width of our collections, the archives. I think as a clerk of session for 18 years, I just only thought about church records. Little did I know that PHS, and it's like my fault actually, that PHS is doing has so much wonderful information that's so important to Presbyterians and probably for others. And so I don't stop talking about the work that we do, and I cut off at 5 o'clock, but whenever I get a chance here on Long Island, encouraging our churches, the presbytery, and obviously Synod commissioners to check in and not only learn more, but also think about supporting PHS too. So I'll kick it back over to you, Kristin.
And what are some of the things we're excited about in 2022?
I'll start off by saying that some of you all know we have some new staff that came on this year, and Lucy is obviously one of those folks. Kristin is new to her position as Director of Communications. We have a new staff person overseeing the archives programs, Natalie Schilstedt. And then we're going to be welcoming a new processing archivist in January, and he's going to help us put more attention on both making records accessible to research and then also doing more with our LGBTQIA+ collecting initiative. So I will just say in general, I'm really looking forward to tapping into all of this great new energy that the new staff is bringing. I think they are going to help us in so many ways. We've been doing amazing work considering that we were short-staffed for some of this year, and to have these new folks here to contribute their ideas and their creativity and to help us move some of our goals forward. I think that's just going to continue to make what we're doing exciting, and I hope we are able to lift up things that our very different constituencies can find something to relate to. I'm also looking forward to potentially having some in-person meetings. We really are hoping we can have an in-person opening for the Building Knowledge Breaking Barriers exhibit. And we'll see what the pandemic brings, but you know, we're thinking now about spring, good weather, summer potentially, when it's easy to mostly gather and talk outside, but people would be able to come in and fully see the exhibit. So I am looking forward to that. We are also, I'm not even going to say hoping, we are going to welcome some interns from the Community College of Philadelphia in 2022. And that was a program that first started under the Building Knowledge Breaking Barriers project. And I have really missed having students in the building. And so one way they can come in is as a paid intern. And that is a way for anyone who might be considering potentially a career in archives or library and information science or kind of communications, even development. We can offer them an opportunity to get to know us and talk to professionals who do that work, but even probably more importantly for them, gain some work experience that they can talk about going forward in job interviews and potentially even pursue any of those kind of career paths. So that is going to happen. I really strongly believe next year. So I'm looking forward to that. One other thing, and I hope I don't steal your thunder on this, Kristin, we have this wonderful collection from the religious news service, and we were able to get some grant money several years ago to digitize some of the photographs in that collection. But Kristin in particular has been kind of a key point person in establishing a collaboration and connection with the ongoing religion news service, RNS. And so there's some exciting things we're planning for 2022, both hopefully at PHS Live, where we talk amongst ourselves. So the people that are holding and working with the records, and then the folks that are still out there reporting religion news and making it accessible for RNS. So we talk about how we are working together to do that, but then also there is the potential of trying to get some more grant money to further the process of making that collection more accessible. So that's also something I'm looking forward to in 2022.
And I'll just quickly say that, we're the National Archives of the Presbyterian Church in the USA, and next year is a General Assembly for the Peace USA, and that's an exciting time for us to share our collections and share about the history of the church, and really kind of connect with people who are reflecting on history to make decisions about the future of the church. And that is something that people are doing every day here at PHS. So I look forward to telling some stories around General Assembly.
And I'll just quickly add that my hope is obviously that we will be able to do things with people in person. It's been amazing that we've been able to raise funds during this difficult time. But not only talking to donors across the country, meeting with them, but also sharing. I think that there's so much information that people don't know about PHS, and one of my goals is going to continuously be to share what we're doing so that people get a fuller idea of all that we can do and all that we do have and all of the history that we have. As the staff know, I've said it every day. I learn something new about what we do at PHS, and it's just been a blessing to learn all of this about the Presbyterians in this country.
How does PHS collect records that tell a more complete history of the Presbyterian Church?
So we do that in a number of ways. Some of you have heard about the two formal collecting initiatives, and I've mentioned both of them already. The Pam Byers Memorial Fund helped us establish a collecting initiative that collected widely on issues of gay ordination in the church, and then has transitioned to focus also on just LGBTQIA+ issues in the church, and really how different identities are experienced by Presbyterians. And that, as well as the AALC, African American Leaders and Congregations, that those formal initiatives have really helped us establish some connections and bring in records. We really are trying to interview folks now who can speak to that. So we're doing collecting proactively by, it's been lately over Zoom, having kind of oral history interviews or video history interviews with folks that we feel their voices and their perspectives are going to be important for people looking back at this time period in 50 or 100 years. But we are also taking in more traditional archival records from people we made connections with. So, correspondence, photographs, other things like that. Beyond those formal initiatives, though, we are also trying to put out the word that we want to collect records that will help us preserve and then share a more complete history. And one thing we did recently was in the October PHS Live, we had a panel discussion of Hispanic Latinx mid-council leaders, and they talked about the nature of their ministry, but also how that is reflected or not reflected in our collections. And we want to make sure that we continue to have those kinds of dialogues and encourage people to reach out to us if they have material or if they know of folks that have material. So those are just some examples. It's both through being proactive and setting up initiatives, but it's also really through just making connections and collaborations in the denomination and listening to what people are telling us. What are they interested in? What are they finding a hard time finding documentation about? How can we make our collection richer and speak to both issues that concern people today and what we think folks doing history in the future will want to know and look for through PHS?
And one of the things that Nancy mentioned was our efforts to collect oral histories and video histories. And that is something that, people can visit our digital collections and watch them, right now if they wanted to. So, and that, in turn gives us an opportunity to create exciting communications pieces and tell exciting stories using that video. And that's something that I continue to be excited about, and hope to do more of in 2022.
And I'll just add that I really didn't think that I could contribute anything, but lo and behold, in my church, I was having a conversation with a gentleman recently who was very good friends, he and his wife, with Kate Cannon. They went to Barbara, Scotia together, and luckily I was able to make the connection. And so we're going to do an oral history on them. He's got a lot of information about her. And it was just, I would never have known that had I not been on staff at PHS. I've heard him talk about Barbara, Scotia for many, many years. I've known him for probably 25. And it just I never made the connection until I started working at PHS, obviously, and looking at our archives that we have and seeing a video of Kate Cannon on YouTube not too long ago. And I went to him so quickly, and he's like, absolutely. And so, he's connecting with our staff person, David Staniunas, and he's gonna be able to videotape something. So people don't have any idea how they can be helpful in expanding our collection, but I think there's probably room and opportunity for many.
And how have supporters helped PHS in 2021? And how can individuals and congregations help support us in 2022?
Well, I will start, and Nancy and Kristin, you guys can jump in, but financially, on the philanthropic landscape, I have just been amazed at the generosity of our donors over the year. And I say that at a time when I know in other organizations, donors sort of shifted their giving to focus more on pandemic-related issues and needs. But I see our donors continually supporting us. And I think it says something about the fact that our donors support the work that we're doing, want to continue to make sure that Presbyterian history is preserved and collected and maintained. And so I am just been amazed. We are in the middle right now of our fall annual appeal. And I can say already that we're up 25%, at about 25% in terms of giving over last year. And the number of new donors that we've been able to identify has just been, that are giving for the first time to PHS, has just been amazing. And so I say with lots of pride and excitement that we have very generous donors, and I foresee that continuing because I think that people want to support the work we're doing. And another example is we participated in Giving Tuesday last week, and we were trying to raise funds for just 2 research fellows, and the grants help the research fellows travel to Philadelphia and have lodging, and their research is so important to the work that we do. But we actually raised funds for 3 research fellows. So to me, that's amazing. It was one day we were able to do that. And so it just continues to reinforce the notion that people support the work that we're doing. They want us to continue to do it. And I see, as I look on the landscape of 2022, that we'll continue to see committed donors, loyal donors to PHS. And we will continue to do the wonderful things that they want us and they support us doing, like expanding our collections, like bringing on researchers. I am so thrilled that we're going to be able to establish the connection with Community College of Philadelphia. We had an initiative where lots of people supported that. And so those are the kinds of things I think that people want to give to. And so I'm just really, really thrilled with what we've gotten. And really, and as I look to 2022, the other thing is continuing to cultivate new donors and stewarding the ones that we have, because they make a difference. And so I can say in a very, very positive way, thank you to our donors, and we will continue to work with you to see how we may be able to partner more on the work that we're doing.
I can just add some practical things. Donations allow us to do some of our programs that we are not funded in any other way. So a significant part of our digitization program is partially funded through donations, and also some of the income we bring in. The Journal of Presbyterian History is significantly funded through donations. All of our collecting initiatives, the formal ones, have been started and supported largely through the generosity of donors. And Lucy mentioned the research fellowships. We also have grant opportunities for digitization from congregations. So those are all supported by the generosity of people who appreciate what we're doing. Most of our communications is made possible through donations and in some form or fashion, and really having the support of the gifts that individuals and congregations and organizations have made has also helped us use technology in a way to reach out to people in a much wider fashion than we were doing before the pandemic. So PHS Live is just one example of that. I want to say just generally that I am so moved by how generous our donors are, not even the amount, but just the way that tells us that people appreciate our work. It's a sign for us as a staff that people value us and that they want to see us be able to be relevant to where people are at now, while preserving the sources that people are going to need to understand what's history now, but what is happening, like what is historical now. So things that happen, you know, way back to the Reformation era through the 20th century. But I think this is going to be a really significant time, both in the life of the church and in culture and society. And so the things we collect now that help document that, if we aren't here to do that, and especially everything in electronic form, everyone knows how easy it is to lose electronic records as technology changes. And archives is just so important to making sure those records are going to survive. Some of our most popular records are records from the 19th century. Those are most of them are over 200 years old now, or at least a part of them. And, you know, those are things that people want access to. And I know I want to be able to do the best job we can to preserve the records that are being created now for future use. And that takes resources, and it takes really well-trained staff to know how to do that in this technology age. So donations are crucial to what we're doing now and to us being able to move forward in a good way.
And I'll just add before we go to questions, one of the things that is very helpful and is a great way to show support for PHS is by continuing to read and to share our e-newsletter, and sharing and inviting people to things like PHS Live. We're very grateful that we have such an audience that continues to reach back out to us and show why they might care about a piece of writing, or talk about why a moment in history is important to them. So we're very thankful for everyone who's done that, and please continue to do so in the future. I'm gonna now ask if there's any questions in the audience, and I'm also gonna check our Facebook feed and see if there's any questions that anybody has over there. And please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box or in the chat feature. We have one question on Facebook. As far as records go, what type of records might I find if I come to Philadelphia and look through your archives? My great-grandfather was a minister to the Native Americans in North and South Dakota, as well as northeastern Montana from about 1890 to 1937.
So it's very possible that we would have records, maybe not things that he created, but definitely that document his service. But I would urge you to contact our reference department first, and I think Kristin can put the email in the chat. That is a really good first step. Our professional archivists can check our holdings and give you a sense of what we have, especially now that travel is somewhat problematic and we are doing research by appointment. I would want to make sure that you have from us a general sense of what you might see before you actually come to Philadelphia. And I would say that that's the case for anyone who's interested to see what we have. It's really worth your time to reach out to us. You can search our catalogs and other things on the website. So that's another way, but check with us before you plan a trip. We have such a large collection and it covers such a large time period and really Presbyterian and Reformed history all over the world that that's one reason our reference staff, and all of them have worked here now for a number of years, are just key to navigating that kind of initial step. Do we have things you're interested in? And if so, is it worth you coming to do a research visit?
Does anybody else have any questions? If that's it, I think we can wrap up, and I just want to thank everyone for attending today. And again, please, we're thankful for all of your, attendance to PHS Live and your sharing and showing us you care about our work in so many different ways. So we hope you have a great holiday and a Merry Christmas, and we look forward to seeing everyone again in 2022, not 2021, 2022. All right, take care, everyone.